everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we are live reacting to Tayshia's premiere episode of The Bachelorette. This is another episode of Bachelorette Talks. I did not film a recap from last week because I didn't even want to watch the episode. If you saw my last recap on the previous episode, I mean, it was a struggle. All right, I feel like the majority is that a lot of people were over Clare because it was just so painfully obvious. So I'm going to go over that episode really quickly, and then we're going to jump over to my couch and catch up and watch the newest episode with Tayshia. So excited. So basically in the last episode, it was all about Clare's big decision if she should leave this. Basically, I mean, it's not even her decision. She got called out. Chris Harrison came, sat down and said, listen, we can't keep doing this. Like, you're making it a little too obvious that you are all about Dale and not about anybody else. And Clare was like, all right, like, you know, you got me. And Chris Harrison literally said, don't fuck with me right now. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him angry like that before, ever in like the 10 some years I've been watching this show. So that was just so wild to me. And he was like, you need to tell me the truth. Have you talked to him before the show? Because she was just like, I was looking through his social media and I just fell in love with him looking at his Instagram because I could really tell what kind of person he was, because people just totally don't fabricate their life on Instagram at all. That's so not what anyone does. So she straight up told Chris she absolutely had no contact with him, which, I mean, I feel like we're all sitting there like, girl, because she did admit, who did she talk to? Was it Blake? Was Blake the one that reached out? That was the same guy she kissed first, right? Because call me out if I'm wrong, but I swear she kissed Blake and then she kissed Dale and she did not kiss anyone else since. It was just some weird, freaky thing that her and Dale were talking about. Like, they made a pact together. Like, I was faithful to you during this process. Like, did they make a pact where he was like, I don't want you kissing another guy? Because that's so weird. And it would also explain her robotic-like reaction of a reboot happening in her brain when Jason leaned in to kiss her on their one-on-one and she leaned in too and then went. So anyways, weird shit happened in the last episode. I mean, if they're both happy, good for them. But I do think that it's disrespectful because it was just so obvious. Like, they should have called this a while ago. And I feel like they knew it was happening, right? Because Tayshia obviously would have had to be in quarantine for 2 or 3 weeks before she was allowed to come onto the show. So I feel like they all knew this happened all along. And it's just like, do we put the blame on Clare? Or do we put the blame on the producers? Were they the ones like pushing for this to continue on? I'm sure it was an equal mix of both. So Chris Harrison is like, if you are going to do this to me and act like this, we are forcing a proposal and we are getting every single thing that we could possibly get out of you in this episode. So he literally says to Clare, all right, the next step is getting engaged. And she was just kind of like, oh my God. Like, obviously it's what she wanted. That's why she was on the show. But I feel like even she was like, ooh, this is a little fast. I got that for a quick second. And then I feel like the fantasy just started going in her head. And she's like, oh yeah, I want to get engaged. And then when he sat down and told Dale and was like, hey, the final step, you know, is not just leaving here. You gotta propose to her. And I feel like you could see it in his eyes. His eyes kind of went for half a second. And you could tell he was like, okay, play it cool, play it cool. We can't freak out. We have to be calm. We can't say we don't want to marry her. We have to go along with it. So I feel like he definitely, it looked like he had those thoughts running through his head for a couple of minutes there. So the episode did end with her getting a proposal out of Dale. So it left with them leaving the bubble of quarantine to go quarantine into a house, and yeah, everything seems great. I'm interested to see, I'm like, this is just so weird to me. So it's like, is this like Men Tell All where it's just one man and one woman telling all? Is that going to be part of the episode, or is it like a whole other thing after the episode? I don't really know. I'm just like over it. I don't really care if she lied and they were talking the whole time during quarantine. Like, I could not give a shit. I am ready to move on. I am ready to see Tayshia in all her glory. Ever since she was on her season, I was like, I want to see this woman as a bachelorette, and I am so excited. Although I will say, going into this, I do feel horrible for her because it's a horrible circumstance. It's horrible for these poor men who have been like traumatized sitting through Clare, and now it's like, oh yeah, you guys, you gotta get Clare off your brain, because we're bringing someone new in. So for some of them, they're like, all right, because like they never really had more than 30 seconds of conversation with her. But some of these men, like Blake, seemed pretty invested in it. And then poor Jason, are we forgetting he probably has PTSD from their one-on-one date where he was forced to expose all these feelings to a woman, and like they were pushing for him to reveal his trauma on national television to a woman he had just met, and he participated in that and opened himself up, which is amazing that he did that. All for it to just be like, okay, well, now you gotta do it again to someone else. Like, that is traumatic. So I feel horrible for him. I feel horrible for the guys that were, you know, that were equally invested in this. I think it's great that they're getting another chance. I think it's weird that we're starting off with 16 guys. I was kind of wondering if they were going to bring the other ones back. It doesn't look like they are. And then Tayshia's walking into this with half the men gone. Some of them traumatized from Clare, some of them still having feelings for Clare. And then she's walking into this, and it's just like, you're going into a group of men who are frustrated, who are going to be relieved to see you, but their patience is whittled down to nothing. So it's almost like she's walking into a lion den here. And for people to sit there and be like, how can you say Blake had feelings for her, Jason had feelings for her? Because they said on the show, when we had to stop filming and start quarantine, and the one other guy said for months and months and months. So this has been going on much longer than it's been told to us. In our minds, it seemed like they quarantined for about a month, and they were 3 weeks into filming. So, you know, for the one guy to be like, we were in here for months and months and months, and it's like, what? And then you heard, I believe it was Dale said, when we stopped filming to quarantine, it was so hard being separated from you. If you heard that, my dog is sleeping on the floor next to me having a doggy dream. So how much did they really film before quarantine hit? Because on the night that she met all the guys, she was like, oh, it feels so good to hug someone. Like, we're allowed to touch people now. So it's like, did they re-film like 3 weeks worth of, or how many weeks worth of content? That's where I'm confused with it. And I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. I'm just curious because I'm nosy. So anyways, that is my thoughts on the episode where Clare leaves with Dale, and now we are moving in to my live reaction of Tayshia. Let's move over to the big comfy couch and get into it. Are you going to tell us about the Bachelorette? What's happened so far? What do you think? Are we liking Tayshia? Is she doing a good job? Does anybody else have animals in the house that it's like, once they're sitting there, it's now their spot. It's not your spot anymore. Okay, so we're about 20 minutes into the new episode, and so far everybody is like, I'm so excited. I have like, it's like a fresh, it's like looking at the process with a fresh pair of eyes. Blake and Jason both talked to Tayshia, and they're like, we're the ones that really had feelings for Clare. And now Luna is here to give her input. Are you guys helping me film my video today? Yes, my little babies. Yeah, they said, hey, we are the ones that had feelings with Clare, like we need some time to get over it, and Tayshia's kind of like, ooh. So hopefully she gives them a chance and gives them some time. But both of those men did say off camera that this feels so much more real than it did with Clare, the one conversation she had with Tayshia. So it's like, yikes, like you had feelings for that. So hopefully they can get over those feelings quick enough, and now my spot back. Tayshia can give them the time to get over it. So they're both excited about it. They're both open to this opportunity. So let's see what else happens. Oh my gosh. They had 4 more guys show up, which I'm kind of relieved it wasn't like another like 12 or 13, so there was like 30 somehow it typically starts out. It was another 4 guys, and I have to say, I feel like Tayshia is gonna be a little bit biased. I feel like she's gonna, like, her energy just seemed like a little bit higher and better around the 4 new guys, because I mean, I get it, it's like a clean slate with them, like they weren't already here, like there's no preconceived notions, like they don't have residual feelings for another woman. So it's just interesting because the 16 guys that were there are so upset. I mean, I get it, but like they're just so mad at this Spencer guy right now, and it's just funny to watch. Okay, so Spencer is getting the first impression rose, which everyone is obviously pissed about. They're trying to, like, I can see, they're trying to make him the villain. But I will say, like, I thought Zach's thing, like, all the clips that they showed of her talking to the guys and them doing the stuff to impress her, I thought him doing, like, the coin into the fountain was super cute. And I feel like that's the most screen time we've seen of Zach during the show so far. So what do you guys think about Spencer? Like, do you guys think that he's like a douchebag? Do you guys need to see more of him? Like, what's your vibe on him? I don't have a reading on him yet. I feel like the show really wants us to think that he's a douche. So let's see what happens with him and where the rest of the night goes. Okay, so this is where I'm at right now. They just ended the night. There was no rose ceremony. No one went home. And they did a season preview, and I'm like, okay, great. And then now they're doing the, I don't even know what this is, after the final rose with Clare and Dale. And I see that there's literally an hour left. And if the whole entire hour is them sitting on a couch talking to Chris Harrison, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to watch an hour of that. I'm hoping it's like 20 minutes and then we cut to a new episode of Tayshia. I don't know. Let's see what they have to say for themselves, I guess.
Dramatic turn of events in
Okay, so Chris Harrison's talking to Clare and Dale, and like, I'm happy for them. Like, they seem happy with each other, so like, good for them. Like, that's great. I'm happy for her. I'm happy for him. But he's like, have you guys talked, like, did you talk at all before the show really got started? Did you communicate during quarantine? Did you lie to everyone? And they're both still insisting no. And the look on Chris Harrison's face is literally like, he's just looking at them like, you are full of shit. Like, I will show you. It's funny to me. Like, this man is not buying it. Look. That is the look of someone who thinks you are full of shit. Okay, so thankfully it was not that long of Clare and Dale. Like, good for them. They're happy. I hope they make it work. That's amazing. Now we can move on. So now we're back to Tayshia. They have a group date. They're doing water sports. Of course, they're in Speedos. And now it cut to Jason basically saying that it's not fair to Tayshia for him to stay here because he's really hung up on Clare. I think like this was the first time, maybe one of the first times he really was vulnerable, and it was a really big step in trust for him to do that, and then for it to be taken away. Like, he needs to work through that. So he's going to go ahead and take a step off the show. So I think it's interesting to see what happens, because when we saw the preview, they were saying that there's somebody who's saying the exact same things about Clare, or the exact same things about Tayshia that they did about Clare, and saying that this person still has feelings for Clare, and the only other person who is left that actually had feelings for her is Blake. So we'll see where this goes. Okay, so Jason ultimately decides to leave, and I think that that's really big of him, really mature. And I feel like, oh my gosh, who said it? Someone said, you are leaving here a better man than you walked in, and I think he's on a good path, so I wish him well and nothing but the best. And then she went on a date with Brendan, and they bonded about both being divorced at a young, getting married at a young age, getting divorced. So I'm just excited to see how the rest of her season plays out. I hope you guys liked this recap. It's a little bit different. Hopefully things are slightly less stressful, But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on other videos. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.